Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone. I am Manu Kashyapa from Advaita Academy. Let us begin with a small prayer. Sarvatma sarvadrugyoso sarvadhyasa nirasakrit satatam sannidhattam me hridaye paramashivah shruti smriti purananam alayam karunalayam namami bhagavatpada shankaram lokashankaram. I welcome you all to yet another session of Weekend with Wisdom. Today, we have a very special guest, Shri P Lakshminarayanan ji, who will be speaking on the topic Vedanta Life Style. Acharya, I welcome you.
Thank you.
For the benefit of our viewers, I would like to introduce the speaker. P Lakshminarayanan ji is a senior disciple of internationally renowned philosopher Swami Parthasarathy ji. After learning electronics and communication engineering, he had a brief stint in an all-India-based engineering company. He gave up his professional career to join full-time residential course on course on Vedanta and its practical applications in life, conducted by Swami Parthasarathy ji at the Vedanta Academy near Pune. He graduated after learning and living Vedanta at the Academy for 3 years. He has been conducting Vedanta study classes for over 2 decades in India and abroad. He routinely delivers in-house programs for corporations, educational institutions, and other organizations. Lakshminarayanan ji, thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today. We are indeed blessed to have you here today. Thank you. And viewers, if you have any question, please post them in Q&A box. Lakshminarayanan ji will be taking up towards the end of the session. Acharya, please start your session.
Hello. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. So the topic we have chosen to discuss in these 3 sessions today, now, this evening and tomorrow morning is Vedanta lifestyle. Now, when we say Vedanta, what is Vedanta? Veda means knowledge, and we have 4 Vedas as we know: Rig, Ajur, Sama, Atharvana. And each of these Vedas, at the end portion, the Veda Antbhag, they give what is called as Upanishads. The Upanishads are the knowledge of life and living. So therefore, Vedanta is Upanishad and Upanishad is Vedanta. And this knowledge of life and living is what is diluted further and given in different texts like Bhagavad Gita, etc. So some people have this question as to whether Bhagavad Gita is also Vedanta or not. Everything is Vedanta. In fact, in the invocation to Bhagavad Gita, Swami Madhusudana Saraswati, he gives a beautiful words. He says, Sarvopanishado Ghavo Dhokta Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsas Sudhir Bhokta Duktam Gitamritam Mahat. So the entire Upanishads are the cows. And Sri Krishna is the cowherd boy, is milking the cow, the Upanishads, and is given us the Bhagavad Gita in the presence of the calf, which is Arjuna. But it is enjoyed by the wise people. So the Gita, Amritam, the knowledge can transport you from this level of mortality to becoming immortal. That knowledge is taken from the Upanishad and diluted and given to human beings at large, inspired by a man of action called Arjuna. But only a person who is pure and wise enjoys it. So the deep thought presented in the text has to be digested and then benefited. So Bhagavad Gita, all the texts, Atma Bodha and all that, whatever text you quote, they're all from Vedas. The Pramanam is Vedas. So Veda Anta. Anta means the end bhag of Vedas, the Upanishads. So when we say Vedanta lifestyle, a lifestyle that is based on the Vedas, the Veda Antbhag, Shastra. Shastra means to teach and protect. So it's the vision of the rishis. It is the wisdom of the rishis. Rish means to know. So these rishis, they received these mantras in their deep meditative states and passed it on to us. It is the digested knowledge or wisdom which is given to all of us. So we base our life on these eternal principles, not on our whims and fancies. That's called Vedanta lifestyle. So Vedanta lifestyle is founded on the eternal wisdom, not on any personality's opinion. It is not one person's opinion or two people's opinion that governs our life. It is not our whims and fancies that governs our life. It is the eternal principles, the time-tested principles that is laid down to us by the great rishis. We keep them as the foundation and live our life. That kind of a living is called Vedantic lifestyle. So when we come to understand the principles given in the Vedas, it will be very interesting to see. In fact, we'll see that as we proceed. But just I want to say one thing in the beginning. Everything that we think today is right is wrong. And everything what we think is wrong or difficult, useless is right. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 69 of chapter 2, in the Sankhya Yoga, Sri Krishna says, Yanisha sarva bhutana tasyam jagrati samyam. In that verse, all he's trying to say is, that which is day for them, meaning the rishis, the wise people, is night for us. And that which is night for them is day for us. In the poem Pineapple and the Bee, William Cowper beautifully says, folly the spring of thy pursuit, disappointment thy fruit. If the very beginning is wrong, all that you will experience is disappointment. That's why he says, folly the spring of thy pursuit, disappointment that thy fruit. So, when we don't base our living on the eternal wisdom knowledge, but we base our life on somebody's opinion or whims and fancies, disappointment will be the effect. So Vedantic lifestyle has a solid foundation on these eternal time-tested principles. So what does Vedanta teach us? What does it really teach us? By knowing that we get equipped to live our life. What is that? Will I be able do I have to share the screen once again? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So,
I think you can make it full screen, Acharya.
It's not full screen now? Mine is showing full screen.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The first thing it does is, it educates us on the nature of the individual at the surface level. See, when we say life, what is life? Life is nothing but series of experiences. Anubhava dhara. Stream of experiences flowing is life. Isn't it? One unit of life, therefore, would be one experience. And an experience is made up of the individual you and the world. So when the individual you contacts the world, there is experience, and series of such experiences flowing is life. So life is nothing but anubhava dhara, stream of experiences. So one unit of life is one experience, and that experience is made up of you and the world. So firstly, Vedanta gets on to study who are you? What is the nature of the individual? Jiva Swarupa. And when it talks about the Jiva Swarupa, it talks from the superficial level and at the deeper level, essential level. So we need to understand about ourselves in complete, in total, So first it says, what is the nature of the individual? And then what is the nature of the individual at the essential level? First at the surface level and at the essential level. Who am I? In fact, many of us have many different ideas about ourselves. And somebody asks you, who are you? You say, I am Lakshminarayanan. And Lakshminarayanan is your name, that's not you. When you were born, you did not have a name. They called you like that, Few days, you never had a name. They were thinking what name to give. Somebody said Lakshmi Narayan, somebody said no, Lakshmi Narasimhan, Lakshmi this, Lakshmi that, Lakshmi Kanta. There's debate going on. Until that time they decided to give the name, they were calling you like that, right? So nobody had a name. The name came later. Name is just an address. Like, you have to write the address when you are writing a letter and posting it. So you need some address. That's the name. But you think you are this name. Then you say, I am this body. I am this mind. I am this intellect. I am a man. A man is just being, that's your sex. That's not you. Then who are you? So it clearly talks about who this individual is at the surface level and at the essence level. Jiva Swarupa. And then it talks about nature of the world, because it's the world that we are relating with. The individual contacting the world is experience. So nature of the world also at the surface level. And when you penetrate deep and you see what is the nature of the world at the essence level. So nature of the individual, surface and essence level. Nature of the world, superficial and essential level. And then it talks about how the individual should relate with the world. So when it talks about the individual, it talks about the qualities, the gunas the individual is made up of. When it talks about the world, it talks about the gunas, the nature of the world. So once you understand, then relating becomes easier. So what are the different types of gunas? When you understand that, then relating is easier. So that's why he says how the individual should relate with the world. For what purpose? To achieve success and bliss. You ask anybody, what is that you want to achieve? Everybody will say, what? Happiness, bliss, and success. We want to combine material success. I need to be blissful and I need to be able to meet my demands at the survival level, achieve material prosperity and bliss within. So, by explaining these things, the Vedanta knowledge helps us to relate with the world better. So, a lifestyle, that's why we say a lifestyle that is founded on the eternal principles. First thing we need to understand is before plunging, we need to learn and live. Not that we jump and then say, somehow I learn. Why should I? That will be the costliest way of learning, isn't it? The most expensive way of learning would be to plunge, destroy myself, and then learn. That also very few people learn. Not everybody learns through their mistakes. A fellow burnt both his ears and he rushed to the doctor. And the doctor said, what happened? He said, doctor, I burnt both my ears. Oh my God, I can see that, it's all red. How did this happen? He said, I was ironing and suddenly a phone call came. I, wrongly took the iron and kept on my ears instead of the phone. So I burnt my right ears. So the doctor said, my God, man, it happens sometimes, I understand. But how did you burn your left ears? He said, that stupid fellow called me again. The sense, that fellow is not learned from his mistakes. So many of us live a very expensive life, but we never learn. So what these great masters did out of compassion is the wisdom they drew from their life and living, from their deep meditative states, and gave us the knowledge about ourselves, about the world, and about the technique of relating with the world. This is what this Vedantic knowledge is all about. A lot of people say, why should I study Bhagavad Gita? Should I study now? Why not at the age of 60? How can you learn how to live, having lived your life? You should learn it before and then live. So therefore, Vedantic lifestyle is knowledge that is based on these things, living based on these factors. The first thing that we need to understand. So then, what is this nature of the individual, human being? Who is this human being? It says, at the surface level, a human being is composed of a physical body. And the physical body is housed with organs of perception, jnana, indriyas. And it is housed with organs of action, karma, indriyas. Jnana indriyas and karma indriyas. A human being is made up of the physical body, which is housed with organs of action, organs of perception. And then mind. The mind is what? Nothing but seat of emotions. And intellect, thoughts. In fact, mind and intellect both are thoughts. When the thoughts are indiscriminate in nature, you call it mind. When the thoughts are discriminate in nature, you call it intellect. So broadly speaking, at the basic level, it teaches us to understand that you are made up of a physical body, mind, and intellect. So, through the organs of perception, I become perceiver. I perceive the various colors and forms, sound, etc. from the world. And then, through the organs of action, I act. I become an actor. So, perceiver and an actor. Then, at the level of the mind, I become feeler of various emotions. I feel various emotions. Love, kindness, arrogance, anger, jealousy, greed, fear, etc. Then at the intellect level, I have the faculty which discriminates, analyzes, thinks, decides. So it first teaches us that you have a body, you have a mind, you have an intellect. Now in this is a very, very basic thing in Vedanta. In fact, first I think it was Swami Chinmayanandaji. Whenever you think of Swami Chinmayanandaji, the first thing that comes in our mind is the diagram. It puts BMI, OET, objects, emotions, and thoughts, and all that. So that he made it so simple. Unfortunately, a lot of people run away from Vedanta because, oh my God, if I have to study Vedanta, then I have to study this Sanskrit and this and that. So people get unnecessarily perturbed. So he made it look very simple, but it's essential knowledge. All of us must learn this and that. So when we see this, what do we understand? Mind is subtler than the body, and intellect is subtler than the mind. So actually, if you want to lead a sensible life, then your intellect must control the mind, and mind must control the body. But what is happening today? Do I have an intellect which can control my mind and in turn control my body, which means the senses and my actions? What is happening today? Can I say proudly that all my actions are discriminated, thought about, decisions, backed actions? Can I say so? Or majority of them are emotion propelled, impulse propelled. In many cases, it is impulse propelled, emotion propelled. That's why later on we regret. Oh, I wish I should have not done. I wish I didn't do that. So, body is only a vehicle. It's like a car. And mind is the engine. And intellect is the driver. So this symbolism, in fact, is there in Kathopanishad. The chariot in which The Arjuna is seated in Bhagavad Gita. It has the symbolism of the same thing. Chariot is our body, Arjuna is the individual, and horses are the senses, reins are the mind, and Sri Krishna is the intellect. So when the driver, the charioteer, the intellect is controlling the reins, the mind, and in turn that is controlling the horses, the senses, then the chariot, the body, will not disintegrate, and the individual who's sitting on the chariot will happily sit and travel the life's journey and enjoy. So therefore, I need to understand that I'm made up of these three equipments, and in these three equipments, the intellect is the subtlest one. So when we study these scriptures, I'm not going into the details of each and every verse and scriptures, where it is said and all that, but I'm just giving you the overview. So if you see in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, he talks about all these things. So the intellect should control the mind, and the mind should control the body. Then we will be able to lead our life peacefully and successfully. So we need to therefore strengthen the intellect. Therefore, we need to strengthen the intellect and purify the mind. So this lifestyle, Vedantic lifestyle, emphasizes on this. Strengthen your intellect and purify your mind. So this is at the surface level, body, mind, intellect. Similarly, when you look at the world at the surface level, what does it say? World is made up of objects and beings. Objects are insentient, beings are sentient. And the world is constantly changing. It is perishing. It's perishable. So constantly changing and perishing. Change or perish is the law. So objects are constantly changing. So it's in a constant flux of change. Nothing remains static here. So then, of course, there are different ways in which it talks about the world, gunas and all that. As we proceed, we can get on. I'm just trying to, in the beginning, make things simple. So world is made up of objects and beings. And this world is in a constant flux of change. So if the world is in a constant flux of change, the individual who is relating with the world, right? The individual who is relating with the world expects the world not to change. Meaning, if he is experiencing joy, and he wants the joy to be always there. But the nature of the world is what? To change. So from joy, sorrow will come. Then joy will come, sorrow will come. It's constantly changing. So when you understand that the nature of the world is to change, it's in a constant flux of change. And if I expect the world not to change, where the problem is? Is it in the world or me? Where is the problem? The problem is in me. Isn't it? Jatasya hi dhruvom mrituhu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. That which comes into existence will have to perish. So, when I understand this, then I understand that there's no point blaming the world. I need to bring about the change within me. Like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see. I need to bring in the change. So the first thing Vedanta teaches us is, you are going through troubles in life, not because there is something wrong in the world. World as it is fine. The problem is, you do not know how to relate. You do not know how to relate with the world. That's the problem. So the problem is not the world, so that you can constantly keep on changing. In fact, we have changed the world. Much better world we are living in today. Even the kings did not live this world, this kind of a life. Isn't it? We have air conditioners, we have beautiful roads, we We are not traveling on horseback. We have, transport facilities. We have developed the world so much. In spite of developing the world so much, still the quality of life that we are leading today is a very, very poor quality. Why is it? Because the human being should first realize that, yes, we need to improve the world, no doubt, but we also need to improve the individual, his mental health, the expectations, the quality of the mind, the quality of the intellect, the quality of the perceptions and actions. All these things needs to be improved upon. So this knowledge, Vedanta, first teaches us that while you should try and develop the world as much as possible, it should not be at the cost of the individual development. So the first thing it does is, you should, therefore, what you should do? You should first retreat. Retreat means what? Take few steps back. That's what it means is, first take few steps back and learn. That's why in this culture, Vedantic culture, see, my Guru Swami Parthasarathy says, Vedanta is the main culture that this country has given to this world. Other than that, only agriculture is. Culture, the word culture, we can look at it a little differently. In laboratory, when you go, you give the sample, they say, we are giving it for culture test. They are trying to see if the germs are growing, bacteria are growing, cells are growing, what is happening, So culture test means growth. So Vedantic culture, in fact, the trust that Swamiji founded, he calls it as Vedanta Cultural Foundation. So what is that culture? The culture of Vedanta is to grow the inner personality to unite with the highest. What it is, I've still not come to, because we are still talking only at the level of superficial. Deeper level I've not gone to. Because in the beginning I said, if you remember, it talks about the nature of the individual superficial level and nature of the individual at the deeper level, essential level. So first thing we need to do, therefore, is to retreat. Take few steps back rather than just running like chicken without head. Retreat. That's why they took the children at a very young age to Gurukul, and the child was handed over to the Guru. That is the process of retreating. Instead of just mechanically running, first retreat, learn, reflect. Reflect. Exercise your mind with the knowledge given by the Guru. And then recast your thinking. Today, the thinking process is completely ulta, warped. We think just because I've learned from schools and colleges, I have the passport or license to just amass, acquire. This is what, so the intelligent person, using all his intelligence, is trying to extract from the world. Constantly extracting. Vedanta gives a different kind of a culture. It doesn't talk about extraction. It talks about contribution. So retreat, reflect, recast your thinking, and then relate with the world. So therefore, just improving the world is not enough. I need to focus and strengthen my body, my mind, my intellect. And how to do that, this knowledge talks about. So by doing that, I become capable of relating with the world. Because in spite of all the best improvements that has been made from the worldly point of view, people are still suffering, leading a very qualitatively inferior life. So much of stress and strain. Why? Because I am not improving. I am not changing. I need to build a strong character. I need to build a strong character. And what is character? What is character? You can see in this chart here. Self-belief. Somebody who has a strong character has strong self-belief and is one who exerts effort and has perfect control over his senses and mind and is more self-reliant and self-sufficient than depending on the world, has tremendous confidence in one's ability and the laws of life, and doesn't compare with anybody else as he understands that everyone is unique, and has tremendous self-esteem, and his mind is extremely poised, and has the spirit of inquiring, constantly questioning and sharpening the intellect, and who's learned that if you want to lead a quality life, it should be based on sacrifice, not on aggrandizing. He has learned the art of management, self-management. He has got the awareness of the higher. So all this put together is what the character is. So when we gain this knowledge, it strengthens our character, then it teaches us that our destiny is actually shaped by our thoughts. I told you, intellect, mind, and body. Body is only a vehicle. It's like, a car. And by itself, the car doesn't move. The engine and the driver are there behind it. So similarly, our thoughts are there inside us. What are we doing with those thoughts? What happens when we go with these thoughts to the world today? What does it do to us? Does it make us enjoy? Does it make us peaceful? Does it make us productive, successful? Or it disturbs us? Do I have any control over myself today? Not really. So, Vedanta says, your fortune or misfortune is by your own thoughts, determined by your own thoughts. It says you are the architect of your fortune, you are the architect of your misfortune. So if you learn to govern and direct your thoughts, you will get success and peace. If you don't learn how to govern and direct your thoughts, you will not get success and peace. You will in fact get the opposite. So your thoughts determine your destiny. In schools, when they ask you, who killed Ravana, you should write Sri Rama killed Ravana. But Sri Rama is not a serial killer going on looking for people to go and kill. Ravana killed himself by his own actions. You are punished or rewarded by your actions, not for your actions. So therefore, these are the principles. I'm just giving few principles of Vedanta. This would be the basis on which your life would be lived after understanding the individual personality and the world in general. And then it also talks about the individual and the world in depth. So when you delve deep into the individual, you understand that the body, the mind, and the intellect all are constantly changing. Sorry. Isn't it? The body is constantly changing. The mind is also constantly changing. And the intellect is also constantly changing. You could have been a communist before, now you could be a capitalist. So, constantly changing. And science tells us that a change is noticed with reference to a changeless substratum, changeless principle. You cannot notice change without a changeless entity. No? So, like when you're moving in the train or in the flight, sometimes you don't recognize that you're moving. When you see those stationary things, the changeless things, you understand. So, change and changeless. So, therefore, Vedanta posits to make us understand that behind these changes, whether it is from the body, mind, intellect point of view or from the worldly objects and beings point of view, everything is in a constant flux of change. So behind these changes, there is a changeless substratum that is eternal. In fact, all these are taught in the very second chapter itself of the Bhagavad Gita. The beginning portion in the second chapter, when Sri Krishna starts giving the knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, he clearly talks about this only. It's called Atma Anatma Viveka. This superficial aspect is what we call as Anatma. And the deeper aspect is called Atma. So Atma Anatma Viveka. See, the first thing we need is clarity to proceed in life. Without clarity, if you just go, you will end up nowhere. It seems like you're doing so many things, but you end up nowhere. It's like, you would have taken 2 steps ahead and 5 steps behind. Finally, when you see, you would have gone behind rather than going ahead in life. This is what the Upanishad says. Iha cheda veti tata satyam asti. Achediha veti mahati vinashti. The supreme most great loss. Nashti means loss. Vinashti means great loss. Mahati vinashti means supreme most great loss. Without building a character, a strong character, when you go to live your life, that kind of a lifestyle will not pay you dividends. Therefore, it says first learn about yourself, learn about the world, the superficial level and the substratum level. The deeper level is the changeless substratum. What from the individual point of view, we call it as Atma. From the total point of view, we call it as Brahman or Ishvara. So, the moment I understand this, then I understand that there are things that are constantly changing and perishing, and there is one thing which is constant, not changing, not perishing. Now, once I understand that, Vedanta says the goal is to unite with that imperishable Atma. The goal is to unite with that imperishable, changeless substratum rather than trying to run towards the changing aspects. When you run towards the changing aspects, it appears as if you are really, doing a lot of things. But what happens is, like I said, end of the day, you will be, when you take a step back and look at your life, you would see that you have not really progressed, rather you have gone backwards. So therefore, it talks about the essential Atma and the non-essential or superficial body, mind, intellect, objects, all that at one level. When we are not acquainted with this knowledge, we lead a certain lifestyle. When we are acquainted with this knowledge, we lead another lifestyle. So that we will see in the next slide. So it talks about 3 lifestyles. One is Sattvic, other is Rajasic, and the third is Tamasic. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic lifestyles. The 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Tamasic fellow, what does he do? He eats without producing. He says, Stena eva saha. Everybody else is working. And what does he do? He goes on eating the contributions of the others. Stena eva saha. He's like a thief. A thief can never be peaceful. He has to constantly change his address and everything, because he can be caught any day. He cannot sleep peacefully. So, tamasic lifestyle is a lifestyle where you don't focus on contribution, you focus on indulgence. Just indulgence. Tamasic lifestyle. Eating without producing. Then the next one is Rajasic lifestyle. Rajasic lifestyle, he says, they cook but they eat sin, he says. Because they do it for selfish purpose. Ye pachantyat atma karan. So they do everything for themselves. So their focus mainly is in acquisition and enjoyment. Mainly acquisition and enjoyment. Kanchana and Kamini. That is what Bhajagovindam says. Kanchana, Kamini. That's all they're interested in. So even the little bit that they contribute, they seem to be contributing something, these Rajasic people. I presume that most of you know these words, but let me explain. Sattva means a state of mind which is calm, composed, serene. Rajas is a state of mind which is greedy, passionate, desirous, restless, result-oriented. Tamasic is a state of mind which is lazy, lethargic, indolent, indulgent, heedless to the consequence. That kind of a mindset. So tamasic is indulgence. Rajas is selfish, self-centered, aggrandizing, acquisition is the primary goal. That kind of a lifestyle. So they are seemingly contributing, but the proportion is their contribution is very little compared to their consumption. Compared to their consumption, their contribution is very, very little. And that little contribution is also for them to acquire from the world more. So their whole attention is extraction, extraction, extraction. Like I said, oh, I must go to this school, I must go to this college, I must gain this knowledge. And what do I do with this knowledge? I can become rich. I'll become rich. This is what I'm thinking. So if I go to this school, I will study with children who are also, who are rich, connected, so that I can also get that friendship. I will get a lot of contacts. So then tomorrow in life, I can extract more for myself. I can enjoy more. This is what is the idea in the mind nowadays. So therefore, from the beginning itself, I'm thinking of what? Extraction. So a lifestyle that is founded on extraction. See, today, in fact, there's a very interesting, documentary. I think it's still there in Netflix. It's called Social Dilemma. It's a very good documentary. In that, they talk about this. The social media nowadays, everything is free. Facebook, Twitter, whatever is there. You just have to have the app, sign in, go. YouTube, right? What are you doing? You think you're getting everything free, and you're consuming it. But actually you're paying your attention. You're not paying them money, but you're paying them your attention. So the more attention you're giving, the more advertisements they get. With that, they are making more money. So there is no such thing as free meals in life. Yet the tamasic people think they can enjoy others' contribution. So they lead a lifestyle, which is indulgent lifestyle, all free. The moment you say free, they run. A Rajasic person, he thinks and leads the life to acquire. And the Sattvic lifestyle, which is Vedantic lifestyle, you can say, is founded on the principle sacrifice. This is what I said. The beginning itself, I said, ulta. I use the word, no? The way the wise think, the way we think is all completely ulta, perverted. Totally opposite. How can a life that is based on sacrifice enrich me, make me happy, make me successful? How is this possible? We just don't understand this. So we think I have to first acquire, I have to swell, and then later on, I just do a little bit of giving here and there. So when you come to Vedantic lifestyle, it emphasizes on yajna, it emphasizes on dhanam, it emphasizes on tapas. Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, do not give away yajna, dana, tapa. When he talks about tyag and sannyas, he says, do not give away yajna, dana, tapa. So Vedantic lifestyle, what lifestyle is it? In this first session, we are only giving introduction. Then the next 2 sessions that we have this evening and tomorrow, we will talk about how this lifestyle helps us achieve success, achieve peace and bliss, and help us to relate better. The parenting and increasing harmony with our family, all these aspects we will discuss in the next 2 sessions. So this one, the fundamental thing it says is, yajna, what is it? Sacrifice. That ritual in which you offer the ahuti and the fire kindles. So there is offering. And dhanam. Dhanam is what? Again offering, giving. And then tapas. What is that tapas? You are not indulging, rather you are controlling. Tapas has 2 aspects. One aspect is conservation of energy that is getting dissipated in the lower channels. And the second aspect is directing the conserved energy towards the higher. So Vedantic lifestyle or Sattvic lifestyle is conserving your assets, energy. What are they? Organs of perception, organs of action, mind, intellect. All this you conserve. Even speaking, you conserve. That's why they talk about maunam. If, today especially, I have 4 sessions. This is my 2nd session. Then again, I'll have to come back to you for my 4th session. So in between, I have 2 sessions somewhere else. So I need to conserve my voice box with reference to that goal. So Vedanta talks about Atma, Anatma, Viveka and says, you the combination of Atma, Anatma at this level called as Lakshminarayanan, the goal is to get back to that Atma. That's called yoga. Yoga comes from the root yuj, which means to unite. So your purpose in life is to unite back to that origin. So therefore, you got to conserve all your energies at all levels, physical, emotional, intellectual, even material. At all levels, you conserve your energy and direct it towards the higher. Therefore, it talks about sense control, mind control, all that. At all levels, Kayika, Vachika, Manasa, at all levels, it emphasizes on control. Whereas the other 2 lifestyles, one is what kind of a lifestyle? Completely indulgent lifestyle. So you will find people, either they are indulging or they are completely denying themselves. There is no middle path. So the Sattvic lifestyle, which I am calling it as a sacrificial lifestyle, is a lifestyle which is a middle path. So, in fact, the crux of Gita, when somebody asks, what is the crux of Gita? When Swami taught, he says, you just repeat the word Gita. So Gita, 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 Gita. What comes is tyagi, 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 tyagi. Tyag. So the essence of Vedanta is nothing but tyag, which is what we call as sacrifice or renunciation. And in the book written by my Guru Swamiji, called as Vedanta Treatise, the Eternities, he says, very nicely, there are 2 topics. He says, sacrifice is the synonym of success. And renunciation is bliss. This is something that is very difficult for people to understand. What do you mean by renunciation is bliss? How can renunciation be bliss? How can sacrifice be the synonym of success? This is what we are going to see in the next 2 sessions. So, sacrifice, one who eats the remnants of sacrifice, he says. When he talks about tamasic, he says, one who eats without producing. When he talks about rajasic, he says, one who cooks but eats sin. Because he's working selfishly. His whole focus is on aggrandizing, acquiring, amassing. Whereas a sattvic lifestyle is, I am born in this world. Now I'm talking at the superficial level, not from the Atma angle. So I am born in this world. Like me, there are so many other beings. Plant kingdom, animal kingdom, human kingdom, all species. There's so many planets, everything. And all of us have to supplement and complement each other to survive here. Plants give us oxygen and they take back carbon dioxide from us. So there is parasparam bhavayantaha, 11th verse of chapter 3. We have to contribute to each other. Let live and live. Help each other. Contribute, take. No one is superior, no one is inferior. These are the values that's being taught. So then when I understand that, then I see inside me what I have. That I should give, and what I need, I take from others. Supplement and complement each other. So therefore, the basis is what? Giving. That's why he says, one who eats the remnants of sacrifice. A sattvic person is one who eats the remnants of sacrifice. After having contributed, whatever comes, he accepts that as prasad. So his whole life will be what? When he contacts the world, it is arpanam and prasadam. This lifestyle, the 3 different lifestyles we are talking about, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. So Vedantic lifestyle is the sattvic lifestyle, sacrificial lifestyle, where a person is thinking of giving and having contributed, whatever comes, he accepts it as prasad. That kind of a lifestyle when a person leads, that's called sattvic lifestyle. In fact, a person who has this kind of a leads this kind of a lifestyle is the only one who's really rich, strictly speaking. Because we have our own definition of richness. How is this possible? We think richness means you got to acquire more and more and more. The more you have, you're rich. What is rich? We today think we are rich when we have more. We calculate our richness with what all we have. Strictly speaking, as per the wisdom of our rishis, richness is to be calculated based on what all you can be without. You understand? What all one can be without. If your desires are more than your assets, are you rich or poor? You're poor. If your desires are less than your assets, you are rich. So, when you lead a sattvic lifestyle, by bringing about the change in your character, like we discussed before, then you are leading a rich lifestyle, qualitatively rich lifestyle. Not a poor lifestyle. Just go and think about these 3 lifestyles that I talked about. Indulgent lifestyle. What happens when you go on indulging? The senses loses its capacity to contact, isn't it? To develop sugar, to go on indulging in sweets. You cannot enjoy it anymore. So, indulgent lifestyle makes you incapacitated to enjoy over a period of time. And you can't enjoy, okay. Has the desire gone? Has the demand gone? No, demand doesn't go. Isn't it? So it's the same thing for the acquisition. In fact, the demand increases. So when you lead a rajasic and tamasic lifestyle, by going on indulging and acquiring more and more, what is happening is the physical body and the individual becomes incapacitated to enjoy. But the mind is craving for more and more and more. So what you want is so much, and even if it is available in front of you, you cannot contact it. This is called hell. This is called hell. What is hell? Hell is a state of mind. Heaven is a state of mind. This is another principle that Vedanta teaches us. So it's nothing to do with what we have. It is to do with the state of mind. It is to have a rich mind. That's the lifestyle. A lifestyle that promotes the inner richness. And then the outer richness becomes a byproduct of it. It doesn't consider the outer richness as an end-all and be-all of life, because it tells you it is perishable. There's a very interesting poem called Even This Shall Pass Away. Theodore Tilton has written this poem called Even This Shall Pass Away. 5 words. The poem says, once in Persia reigned a king. Now, there was a king in Persia. He had a signet ring. On the ring, it was carved, what? Even this shall pass away. So anything and everything that you acquire in the world is what? Passing, fleeting things. He says, what is fame? Fame is but a slow decay. Even this shall pass away. So everything he analyzes in that poem and beautifully explains to us. You may say, he may be very, very, lonely guy. That's why he was philosophizing. Because when people, everything will pass away and all these things, when you say, must be COVID time. That's why this fellow is becoming too much of too much philosophic, No. When he talks about the king in that poem, he says, his kingdom was the richest. There was a lot of wealth coming from the mines and the main route. A lot of gold mine, coal mine, this mine, that mine. Everything was there in his kingdom. A lot of natural resources. And also a lot of business was happening and wealth was coming from every angle. And he had wealth. But he would say, what is wealth? Even this shall pass away. And he had all the wealth, but no friends. No, he had friends also. A lot of friends with whom he had always enjoying. But then he would know what is pleasure. Pleasure comes not to stay. Even this shall pass away. Oh, he was a bachelor. That's why he was happy. Let him get married. Let us see. The poet says, no. He got married also. And he told himself, he didn't tell his wife, what? Mortal flesh must come to clay. Even this shall pass away. So, when you gain the eternal wisdom, you understand that these are all perishable and there is an imperishable substratum. That is my goal. That's my purpose. Life becomes purpose-driven life, not just having acquisition and enjoyment as end-all and be-all of life. So when you mechanically go on acquiring, indulging, then what happens is the body becomes incapacitated, mind craves for more and more. You will be in a state of hell. This is what is happening to most of us. In spite of all our richness, the lifestyle we lead today, which is indulgent or acquisition lifestyle, therefore there is no joy. Boring, say boredom, all kinds of psychological problems, especially now during this COVID time. Many people would have committed suicide but for these smartphones. You understand? Smartphones, all these gadgets are there. So we are somehow surviving. If these gadgets are not there, most of us would have committed suicide. Because boredom comes. A dependent lifestyle. This tamasic and rajasic lifestyle is a dependent lifestyle. Sattvic lifestyle is an independent lifestyle. Self-reliance. Not relying on the world, worldly objects and beings. It clearly explains to you that they are all only at the level of transaction. For me to have this class, now I need to have a gadget through which I can conduct this class. Otherwise, I can't. Online. So this gadget, I have a value only from that point of view. It doesn't have an intrinsic value. My intrinsic value is only for the Atma. All these things are transactional value. So the moment I understand this, they say, Milton says, mind in its own place can make a hell out of a heaven or a heaven out of a hell. So when you base your life on these eternal principles, with what little you may have, you will be feeling rich and you will be staying in heaven mentally. But without this knowledge, when you lead your life, even with enormous wealth, you would still be living in hell. Why? Because you did not fortify the individual. You did not strengthen the character of the individual. The thoughts were not attended to. You did not retreat. You did not reflect. You did not recast your thinking and then relate with the world. You simply gained the intelligence about the world and then rushed into the world to extract that kind of a lifestyle. Indulge and extract. So that world is attractive in the beginning. But slowly, slowly, it turns poisonous. Again, this also is said in the Bhagavad Gita. The enjoyments that are born out of sense contact are pleasurable in the beginning, painful in the end. But the enjoyment that is brought about by sense control, mind control, painful in the beginning, pleasurable in the end. So we have these lifestyles. Difficult in the beginning, no doubt. When we talk about tapas, yajna, dana, all these things. But it is not so difficult as we reflect on this knowledge and understand. See, from the level where we are today, it is difficult to conceive that kind of a lifestyle. But once we are empowered with this knowledge, it is easy to conceive that lifestyle. Take this example. When you are sitting, when you are at the foot of a hill, let's say you go to Rishikesh, you can't see the Everest. You can only visualize, you can only see, one or two mountains, mountain top. So you climb there. And when you reach that level, from there you can see some more peaks. And you climb those peaks, then from there you can see more peaks. And finally you can see the Everest. So what Vedanta does is, when you are exposed to that, it starts giving you that knowledge and makes you climb one mountain after another. And from there you are able to see the whole thing. Once you understand that, then from that knowledge, when you are, when you have digested that knowledge, you don't even consider the other two lifestyles. Okay. But without that knowledge, those two lifestyles will be very attractive. So he says, it's pleasurable in the beginning painful in the end. Because slowly, what happens? You will start losing your capacity to enjoy, and the desire goes on increasing. You will be in hell. Whereas here, what happens? You are exercising control over your senses, over your mind, directing it towards the goal. Now, here, I would like to say this. What is the difference between sense control and sense denial? Sense indulgence, we understand. What is the difference between sense control and sense denial? A lot of people understand sense control also as sense denial. No. Sense control is lending purpose to your contact. So, I control my senses and direct them towards that goal. Anything that is helpful for me to reach that goal becomes my do's. Anything that is not helpful or take me away from that becomes my don'ts. So there is a reference point. So sense control is contacting the senses with the purpose in mind. It's called sense control. Denial is with nothing. Simply I say it's wrong and then deny myself. It's not backed by intellect. It's not backed by knowledge. So there is no purpose to the contact. In fact, in the 4th chapter, when he talks about 12 yajnas in the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about Dhamma yajna, and Vishaya Bhoga yajna. Means what? Your senses should be guided and directed by the intellect to contact what they should contact, and it should be guided and directed by the intellect to withdraw from what they should not contact. That's Dhamma yajna. Dhamma yajna is withdrawing, controlling in the areas where you should not, and contacting in the areas which you should. So when that goal becomes clear, then everything that helps me to get to that goal becomes what I can contact. Everything that takes me away from the goal becomes what I should not contact. So life becomes simple actually. A simple thing like, suddenly there's a sale going on. Buy one, get 25 free. And there's a very big queue. See, you may think only people who do not have enough, poor people, look forward for things free. No, even people who have a lot of money, and then go to those designer wear and all that, when there's a sale, there also there's a gate crash. It's nothing to do with external richness, it's to do with the inner richness. That's why we're going on emphasizing. So buy one, get 25 free, there's a gate crash. Everybody goes. They're constantly thinking of getting things free. What we don't really understand is there is no such thing as free. Meal
Viewers, I think there is some internet connection issue at Lakshminarayanji's end. We will try contacting him. Viewers, I just spoke to Lakshminarayanji and he'll be back in 2 minutes. Acharya, am I audible?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can. Yes, please go ahead.
I think my screen sharing is disabled. Can you make it?
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead, please.
Can you see the slides?
Yes, Acharya.
Yeah. Sorry about this. It has never happened. First time it happened. Just now we were discussing about world being in a constant flux of change. Expect the unexpected. God is teaching us something. Okay. So you got to put up with my no light scenario. I hope you can see me clearly, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic lifestyle we were talking about, and then we were talking about heaven and hell and all that. So it's to do with the sense control and sense denial that we were talking about. Sense control means lending purpose to your senses, whereas sense denial is denying without any purpose or reason. There's no intellect backing. So this Sattvic lifestyle is not a lifestyle that is extracting lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that is contributing, bringing in control over oneself. Everything, if you look at it, at the material level, if you look at it, it emphasizes on giving. If you look at it at the physical level, sense contact level, it talks about sense control. Then if you talk about emotional level, it talks about love, forgiving, etc. When you talk about intellectual level, it talks about understanding the passing, temporary, fleeting nature of the world and developing vairagya towards it. So at all levels, the lifestyle of Vedanta emphasizes on one word, if you have to say, renunciation or sacrifice. And sacrifice is the synonym of success, and sacrifice is the essence to attain bliss. Or renunciation is bliss. That is bliss. There's nothing else is bliss. How it is, we will see in the next two sessions. Now, if you have any questions, we'll take it up.
Acharya, we have two questions from YouTube. And the first one is, what are the ways to move up the ladder of lifestyle from indulgent to sacrificial? If sacrificial, do we have to give up the current lifestyle?
No need to give up anything. You need to spend some time learning the higher knowledge. All you need to do is a little bit of time management. In the next two sessions, I'll also talk about that. The time, we can call it as contemplative time. We can call it as energetic time, and we can call it as indulgent time. So generally, the great masters tell us that early hours of the day, what they call as Brahma Muhurta, is conducive for us to do contemplation, meditation, etc. So the Brahma Muhurta time is 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Now, some people may get scared the moment I say 4 a.m. and all that, because some of them are only going to bed at 4 a.m. That's the kind of lifestyle people are leading. So as early as possible, and once the sun rises, then it's more conducive for energy. Sun gives us vitality and energy. So 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is more conducive for rajas, action. And tamas, generally across the world, you'll see 6 p.m. onwards. Even a talented drunkard, if you invite him for a glass of alcohol in the morning, he'll say sundown. So the indulgent mindset and time, everything is in the evening. So what you need to do if you wish to lead a higher life, you need to gain the knowledge. And to study the scriptures, the best time is morning time, the contemplative time. So you don't have to resign your job, you don't have to do anything, especially now with all these online platforms available. You can be where you are. But of course, you need to do a little more. I'm just making it sound so simple. But at the same time, it's not very difficult. There are other disciplines you follow. But, first thing you got to do is you got to first understand, I must change myself. Stop all the ideas about changing the world. Let it happen afterwards. First, change myself. For that, I need to gain the knowledge. And to study the scriptures, early hours of the day is the best. So sit down and learn. Instead of you learning by yourself, it'll be better if you can go to a guru. And then from the guru, you learn. And even when you learn from the guru, Vedanta itself, Bhagavad Gita itself tells you, don't accept anything blindly. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. By doing service to your guru, by being devoted to him, you question and understand. And whatever you are convinced and understood, you put that into practice. Slowly, like I said, by climbing the mountain, you will be able to see, and then you will see that very lifestyle will change. Your ideas will change. Your ideas of now, enjoyment is in extraction, enjoyment is in amassing, will change to enjoyment is in giving, not in taking. That is easily conceived when you are equipped with this knowledge. So all you need to do is gain this knowledge. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question is, with all this distraction from the world, how do we set up the goals of lifestyle and achieve it?
See, distractions has always been there. It's not only something very unique to this time. Of course, now we have a lot more distractions. I'm not saying no. But you see, when Sage Vishwamitra was conducting the yag, he had distractions from the demons. So he could take care of the demons. Then who will do the yajna? Who will do the yaga? So he wanted Lord Rama and Lakshmana to help him in taking care of those demons, So distractions has always been there, will be there. In fact, the moment we venture to do something, distraction will be there, like we had today. You understand? It has never happened. I've been taking these classes for so many years. It's never happened. Something seriously wrong with the transformer nearby, what God only knows. And the generator also doesn't seem to have picked up in the area where I'm living. So it happens. Distractions come. So how do you deal with the distractions? It's by strengthening the intellect. It's only by strengthening the intellect you deal with the distractions. But Adi Shankara tells us, what does he say? Satsangatve nissangat. So the first thing is satsanga. Shakespeare also says, you tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. So that's what he says, Shakespeare. Adi Shankara said the same thing. Satsanga. You keep on giving yourself into satsanga. Make a schedule. Put in that effort. Strengthen the intellect. Then you will be able to deal with the distractions.
Thank you so much.
In fact, the biggest distraction is the mind.
Yes.
Not the distractions that come from the outside. Distractions can come from unknown, from known, and from within. That which comes from within is the problem. That's the mind. So to deal with the mind, you need the intellect.
Correct. Thank you so much, Acharya. Viewers, with this, we will conclude the first session of three-part series of Vedanta Lifestyle sessions by Shri Lakshminarayanan ji. In the evening, again at 6 p.m., Lakshminarayanan ji will join us and share his knowledge with us. If you have not registered for evening classes, please tune into that. It is a continued series. And we will conclude with this. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha.